Hey everyone, and welcome back to another installment in the Tiny Tech video series, a series I started over a year ago. And as you know, this series focuses on little bits of technology that could be useful for your faculty or professional life. So today I want to continue the focus on stock images and video and specifically shift it to some DEI-centered issues. So you might recall that last year I created a video on stock images and video, and specifically I have a series of websites listed here. You can still use these websites, and I want to indicate that when you go to some of these, you can always put in some keywords that maybe helps really generate more diversity, DEI concerns through stock images or videos. So for example, if you type in workplace, let's just do this as a test, and maybe I want to get just images, and this will always tell you the free ones versus the pay ones, and typically at the top they'll have an ability to filter for free images or free videos. But one of the things you can do is, if you note that the images aren't very diverse, you could try to do a new search to increase the diversity. So as an example, we don't know for sure in a lot of cases because there's a lot of variation, of course, in skin color in terms of what that reflects about our ethnicity. But in this case, these all appear to be white or European American individuals. So the focus here would be on why this doesn't create a diverse workplace or promote diversity in our workplace, because we're only highlighting individuals who are not individuals of color, or maybe are heteronormative individuals or non-transgender individuals if everyone is presumably cis in a particular situation. And of course, in a lot of images, you can't always tell exactly what's going on. In this particular image here, you could say that the manager appears to be a male. Now, of course, you could say, well, you don't know exactly from the situation because this person could be presenting in a meeting and maybe one of the women here are actually the managers, or maybe by the indication of the thought bubble here, this woman is indicating that this person isn't very competent presenting on teamwork. So you can't always tell, obviously, if you don't have the entire context, but if it's just a generic image, if you're just showing an image, let's say you want to have a generic stock image of a student, certainly you could use this image, right? I mean, it's a woman, it's a European American woman, a blonde woman, so there's nothing wrong with using it per se. But we might want to take the approach that we include more diversity in our stock images and videos. So again, you could go back to my old YouTube video and find examples here of stock image and video sites. Just be sure to go in and see if you can select for more diversity for whatever purpose you happen to be going for in your particular stock video or stock image use. Now, you'll recall also, I wanted to mention there's a video I did some time ago called On the Example. And this is more of a philosophical focus, so if you want to check this out one again, you can go to my YouTube site or you can go to ltccteachingandlearning.com and find this on the teaching area of the website. But this is where I specifically talk about the idea that if you're giving a generic example in one of your classes and you're talking about marriage and you only talk about straight couples being married, you really want to increase the diversity. So talk about non-heteronormative examples the next time you discuss marriage or partners or whatever. So I found something recently that also might be useful for you, and I'll include this link in the final video here on YouTube. This is 13 sites to find more diverse stock photos and why it matters. So this is really key. A lot of studies have been done, and these studies show that marginalized groups, when not presented equally in terms of their representation, it harms everybody. And you can read some of these studies here. This one is a free site. This one down here is actually, I think, New York Times. Sarah Lewis explores the relationship between racism and the camera. So I've taught about this actually in my visual anthro class. We did a study of stock image sites and specifically the diversity that's there or not there. So it's definitely a cultural issue in our society and many others outside of the United States. So what I wanted to show you then on this site is some opportunities to use these various sites to increase the diversity or DEI focus in your class. So this is Unsplash. And you can see from the get-go here, you have more diversity featured, right? So you see diversity here in this particular image. It reminds me really, I was mentioning to someone, let's see if I can find examples, happened to just get in the mail ads from the Express. And I just noticed like most of their model images happen to be non-white images. And I don't know if there's anything here, American Express. I was specifically looking for Express, but that's one that comes to mind for me that is a company that's really promoting a lot of diversity via its models. Included in that would be models of different abilities, physical abilities, and different sizes, because sometimes there's an ableist bias that we see built into modeling or particular ads for particular products in our society. So let's go back to Unsplash and see what we can discover here. So if I just type in workplace, let's just see right off the bat, without indicating anything, if we get diversity in our images. And yeah, so far it looks like there's a wide range. Again, when we look at images, we can't immediately tell a person's ethnic background. There's so much diversity in terms of physical appearance, but we get a sense again of representation. So if we see images like this, we really see, okay, this happens to be one that you have to purchase, but it's not all white individuals or not all males. Again, when we start talking about if someone is cisgender or non-binary, we can't always tell from an image, but if there are situations where we really want to think about increasing our representation of diversity across the spectrum in that intersectional sense that we talk about. I'm not going to go through all of these with you today, but I just found this inspiring. This one's really good. The Gender Spectrum collection from Vice.com, and Vice is known for a lot of kind of alternative lifestyles and focus in their reporting and so forth. So you can see here, just we're getting from the get-go more diversity. You see that in hairstyle. You see that maybe in body imagery with tattoos. So we're seeing just a lot more diversity being represented here. And again, we might see more non-binary representations here. You have a lot of what appear to be very diverse gender scenarios. You can see here you have presumably a lesbian couple. Again, you can't always tell if someone is cis or non-binary or transgender, but the whole point is from these representations, we see they're much different than showing just the typical kinds of representations, which in the case of gender can be very hyper heteronormative. You have it in the realm of technology. So what's nice about this collection is then you have images from different spaces or arenas of everyday life, and then you can use these to really up the diversity that you represent in your stock imagery and so forth. You see this with healthcare. So we don't have all, again, just cis or all white male or whatever. So check these out. I will include this in the link on the YouTube video here. You can go through all these and then really consider using more of these anytime you need a stock image or stock video. Go to these first, and then we can all make a difference in terms of DEI efforts by emphasizing greater diversity and all the imagery that we use in our classes, all the videos that we use, particularly those that might be stock images that we want for a flyer, for a website, or for a video that we make for one of our Canvas classes. So thanks for listening, and I'll be back with additional videos in the Tiny Tech video series.